John, we have John with us today. John McKenna, hi, welcome.
Hi.
I invited John to come and enlighten us with some of his zingers that he has and some of his words of wisdom. I've known John for a while, and he has been engaged for decades in personal coaching, business coaching. He's a martial artist, has his own school, and he is an incredible musician who not only writes his own songs, plays the music, writes the music, plays the music, records it in his own studio, and he has a number of albums. How many albums do you have now?
9 so far.
9. You got up and wrote music every day for a while?
Every day, yeah.
He's got that available online, which we will give a link to at the end of this. Because John has so many different areas where he has created different venues for people, it was difficult to figure out what to ask him, in what direction to go. But I think the best thing to do today is just give us some of your ideas about what can be done in either a personal situation or a business situation when people need some help.
Okay.
Easy living systems is your tagline.
Yeah, Easy Living Systems is my coaching business, and it's for personal coaching, transformational, and business. And Easy Living Systems is a very simple way of finding, the area that needs to be shifted and finding the thoughts that are generating the mishaps, so to speak, removing those thoughts. And it's called Easy Living Systems is because it doesn't have to be difficult. It's easy. We're working on a small level. We're working on the level of the mind. We're working with core beliefs, and they're easy to change once you know what they are. So Easy Living Systems, kind of a broad spectrum of people I help. Any issue from needing better relationships, better health, more vitality, all the way up to business and marketing. All of it gets handled the same way by an Easy Living System, which is basically a thought system that creates a habit of thought. And the habit of thought creates a habit of being, which might turn into new behaviors, which might turn into, new possibilities in that way. But it also invokes the law of correspondences, which is popularly referred to as the law of attraction, so that as you're shifting those small areas, big things are starting to change. I like to call one of my processes split the atom. So we can dive down in to see what is the simplest, little, tiniest thing you can do that could produce the most bang for the buck. And that's usually changing a thought or a belief. But it could also be, make a phone call, say you're sorry, tell somebody you love them, something like that. But I like to work really small and easy to produce big, like splitting the atom, of course, produces phase transition. So if you can get one person, everybody's different, they've got a different issue, but if the person's needing to love themselves more and you get them to really buy it and they start to do that, well, pretty soon that radiates out and the world starts to treat them better and other people start to, and then they start to really believe it. And that causes phase transition, which was the whole thing behind an atomic blast. You change enough molecules and pretty soon all the molecules change. And that's sort of what I'm working with in Easy Living Systems, and it can be done for any problem that anybody has.
When people first come to you, are they aware of the problems they have, or they just say, my life isn't going very smoothly and I'm stuck, what can you do for me?
Yeah, a person can come to me with a problem or a strong desire. I have a desire to do better, I have a desire to make more, I have a desire to live better. And either way, it's going to go to the same thing. It's going to go down to the smallest belief that's holding everything back.
You have taught some seminars and workshops, and one that I've been to, I believe, was the gift of the question. Another was creating a wonderful life. I'm just curious, when somebody comes to you, how do you help them find that place where the shifts start?
Well, it's really easy. If a person comes with a problem, any little thing, somebody flipped me off in traffic today, any little thing, I can ask a question, why did that make you unhappy? And then they will inevitably go down to core. And then we just say, well, is that really true? And they laugh. It's like, no, that's not true. Like somebody could step on, a flower in your yard. And so why did that make you unhappy? Well, because they don't have any respect for me, because nobody cares about me, because blah, 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 blah. And it'll go down to some core belief that, I'm worthless and I'm unlovable. And then you just say, well, is that true? And they laugh. And the whole string disappears. So that's one way to use questions to find what's bugging a person, which is never true. It's just an illusion. But as far as the gift of a question goes, the nice thing to do on the way out of that is to ask people really positive questions, because the mind can't not answer a question. So if I say, what's the best part of your day?
I would say the best part of my day is when I can sit out in the yard and clear myself of everything and start to meditate.
Well, what was the best thing that happened to you this week?
The best thing that happened to me this week was having you come today and talk on this YouTube channel for us.
Well, that was nice. But I was watching, your eyes were up and to the left. So if you want to have fun with the gift of a question, ask people positive questions that lift them up. And watch the eyes. The eyes are like, well, where is that information? That's part of today. That's part of it. And it's really fun to do. Ask a person a question, what's the best part of your life? Or what do you really feel good about within yourself? Or what's going well for you? Or who do you love? Or, and if you can get somebody into that, as a social skill goes, and they start talking, oh, well, what I really love is I love my house and my pets. And then you go, well, what are their names? And you just pull people out. But it's very nice to watch the eyes, because they go looking for the file. Where is that?
And up and to the left means they're finding it where?
I have no idea what any of that means, and I don't
Okay.
care. I just like to watch. Well, let's see. And so if you ask somebody, or if you offer to give someone the gift of a question, then just watch them looking for it. Because the mind, it's just like Charlie Brown kicking the football, man. And Lucy would hold the football. The mind can't resist a question. So watch the questions you ask yourself. Don't say, why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get it right? Don't go there. Just say, what's right with me?
Look for what we're doing right. Look for what we love.
Yeah, that's one of the ways we heal the field. So in Easy Living Systems, it's just a dialogue that I have with people. And it can be a dialogue based on what strong desires they have to create a wonderful new life, which inevitably introduces the thought that they don't have a wonderful new life. Or it could be solve this problem. And if you heal the field first and then act according to your intuition, life is much better. So, for example, I have a person who's got a problem with an employee. And this is just unsolvable problem. So I say, well, for the next little while, every time you think of this employee, I want you to just think about what you like about them. So what do you like about Bill? Every time you think about him, what do you like about him? So now she's putting all this positive information in the field. Well, he dresses well, teaches me patience, does a good job, shows up. And so I want her to fill the field with that information prior to us doing the actual work. So that way the field has been purified. There's not her putting negativity into the field between. And then when the field is at peace, then you design a conversation for possibilities with the person. And it's easy then. Most of the trouble between two people is a result of the information that they're putting in the field when they think about the other person. That person is such a jerk. They do this, they do that. And this is with couples all the time. And if you can get a couple or one person in the relationship to just stop putting the negativity in the field between the 2 points, it shifts it by 50%. And then the other person changes because they're not relating to that field anymore. I just love doing that.
So this sounds like it's something that works for individuals as well as people in their business organization.
Absolutely, because relationship is relationship. So you have a relationship with a person, and in between you and that person is all the information you have put in the field. So I say change the information that you're putting in the field or remove the information, and the field changes and the 2 points shift. But you also have a relationship with money. You have a relationship with the world. You have a relationship with automobiles. You have a relationship with anything that's other than you. So I have a bad relationship with packaging. I'll admit it. Every time I get a package, it doesn't open until it opens. Let me catch myself saying, don't these people test these packages to see if they can open? I've just become aware of that. So I'm going to start loving packaging. But as I have all this information about packaging in my field, I will attract the bad packages. Just so I can be right. So if you have information about a certain type of person who you hate, you will just be calling them in so that you can be right about that. That's the law of correspondence, is the law of attraction, if you will. So it's worth clearing the field.
Oh, well, are you ready to solve some major issues in the society right now in terms of what's happening? What I continue to see is this huge division in our society, right? And I would love to find a way to bridge the gap between belief systems. And it's been created, no doubt, in our media. But let's say that I was going to put together a group of people that were on both sides of the political spectrum. And they both came in and were like really not very happy to be there. They really didn't agree with the other side. And we wanted to bring them together. How do you create a field for a situation like that where we're trying to find common ground in community?
Well, it's not possible. Because the premise that you're starting from is, I'm going to bring in this group of people who disagrees with that group of people and see if we can make peace out of it. So the initial premise is that these people disagree. So that's your belief about the two groups that you're bringing together. So there's no escape from that.
Okay, so how do we reframe that?
I'm just going to bring George and Bob and Sue and Alice and all those guys together, and we're going to talk about vegetarian cooking and the benefits of eating meat.
Okay.
But it's a setup for failure to say, I'm going to bring these right-wing people and these left-wing people together, and I'm going to try to make them see eye to eye. That's just starts with the wrong premise, because you already see them as completely in war with themselves. But if you see a few individuals with names and you want to bring them together and talk about poetry or something that they don't disagree on, then you'll be bringing them together. How interesting is that?
Okay, so you find a place where they can talk that's not going to be divisive?
But no, it starts with the intention of the observer. Oh, everything starts with the intention of the observer, the Heisenberg principle of uncertainty. Whatever you think is true and will prove itself right. So if you think that there's these right-wing, left-wing people who disagree, then that will just prove itself right, because that is the bias of the observer. But if you think there's George and Sally and Bill and Sue, and they might like to, I don't know, talk about sunbathing or go for a swim or eat good food, that's a totally different initial premise. But you can't escape the law of uncertainty. I mean, I wish it was taught in grammar school. Everything I do is based on that Heisenberg principle of uncertainty, which is the bias of the observer skews the results. It was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt in the 70s that when they tested light to see if it was a particle, it was a particle. When they tested it to see if it was a wave, it was a wave, which is not possible. But that taught them that whatever the bias of the observer is will prove itself to be true. So fighting against something always makes the something real. Seeing this, what did you call it? Division, divisiveness. Seeing divisiveness makes it real. But seeing human beings as individuals who all suffer from the same fears and same illusions and the same trips is a different way of seeing things.
And in business, we have an organization where, of course, there's different personalities, and they want the bottom line to increase. They want more profit.
Mm-hmm.
They want less. They want to get people off their cell phones, maybe, or off their computers. They want more productivity. They want a happier environment. They want a place where people look forward to coming to work and want to do their best.
Mm-hmm.
Would you work with a group like that for corporations?
Absolutely. I'm very passionate about that, and I've even developed a software idea that handles those issues. The question that these people want to ask themselves is, how can I create a workplace where it's more fun to come to work? How can I let more money go to the bottom line? How can I be effective and streamlined? How can I have a better work experience? How can I have better communication skills? How can we have more teamwork? Remember, the mind has to answer a question. So most people in these environments are saying, how can we fix this problem? The problem grows. So you can note the problem for like 5%, and then get on the other side of it. How can I create a wonderful work environment? How can I create more unity? And the intuition will give you the answer to that. That is the gift of a question. Your own spirit, your own intuition will answer it. Well, just start being nice to Joe Schmo over here. Tell him what a nice suit he's wearing. Hey, Joe, nice suit. That's 2%. Joe feels better. But really, people are fighting against problems. What you focus on expands. And if they're fighting against the problem is growing in magnitude. So you can note the problem, 5%, note, okay, people don't seem to be that happy at work. Noted. How can we make them happy at work? And then you'll start getting these crazy ideas, these little hankerings and things. You know, it's Hawaiian Shirt Tuesday, you know, whatever. But people put all their energy on the fighting the negative, whereas you should note the negative, 5%, and then 95% on pure creative. How can I? Wouldn't it be great if? What would it be like if we did? Well, you know, and then have all the energy going that way.
Yeah, that's sounds like the way we want our society.
Free will.
We practice this and model it. We use it in our life. And how do we continue to spread it? It's when I work with this, it seems to me that there are people that definitely believe that every word and every thought and every action that they take creates their own life. And there are those that have no concept of that and believe that somebody else is doing it or they're the victim. Can you go into families, into schools, where do you start with the training of this?
It starts here, you know, with this. I teach my kids in my martial arts class to ask themselves empowering questions. What do I love about school? What do I love about my family? What's good about me? What do I like about me? You know, things like that. It's very teachable. It should be in the school systems, asking empowering questions. People just love to fight, and they're addicted to polarizing themselves against something, thinking that being against something is how to conquer it. But it just doesn't work. It never has, and it never will. So, you know, people just need to create what they want rather than fight against what they don't want.
That's simple. That's the easy living system.
That is very simple, and that's all I teach when I'm coaching people or businesses, I just get rid of that whole fight mentality, and let's start flowing energy towards what we love, and how can I create what I love? How can I have more of what I love? And that starts with, well, what do you appreciate? Make a list of 20 things you appreciate, and let that energy start growing, because whatever you focus on expands.
Well, it'd be great to have you as the head of the educational system in the country. And get this message out to the teachers that are, not only the teachers.
At the head of the educational system, it wouldn't work, because there would be a lot of people fighting against the head of it. But as a consultant, it might sneak in, or just teach it to the kids and teach it to some other kid. But yeah, I love that idea of asking positive questions to get yourself into a good state.
Is it already packaged? Is there a place that a school system or an organization or person could go in and get some of this material from you? Or do you have to work with them one-on-one individually?
Well, I'm writing the book of questions, which is all about that, which is just a book full of questions like, what do I love about my life? And I wrote the Creating a Wonderful Life book, which is just the same kind of thing. Every day there's a focus on what you're thinking, how you can think better, and then move. Think like that, and then move into creativity.
Is there somewhere that this will be available? It sounds like now that you mentioned it, people are going to want to have it. Is there someplace
I've put all my material up on my YouTube channel, which is easylivingsystems.com. And I can be reached from there. I put a lot of my singers up there and things like that. Also, easylivingsystems.com. And YouTube's got all these little videos on this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. If somebody wanted to create a program for themselves or their business using your materials, what's the best way to get in touch with you about that?
Yeah, a person could email me, and the way I work with people is I give them a copy of the book, which is 30 lessons or 30 days, but you could do it in 30 weeks if you wanted to, which teaches you how to ask yourself these positive questions and very gently get yourself on track. And then I speak to people maybe 15 minutes at a time or an hour, just depending on what they want to have the level be, So I teach all this stuff. And if it's in a realm of a business, it's a little different. The big thing for all business is, well, how can we make more money? Well, it's like, well, what do you do? And somebody will say, well, I'm a caterer. It's like, no. What do you do? Most people in business don't really know what they do. I had a guy at one of my workshops who sold guns and training programs, and that's what he thought he did. And so that's what he was trying to sell. But that's not reaching a lot of people. But what he really did was he provided peace of mind for people. He didn't know he was in the spiritual world. So when he reframed it with my help, was what you really do is you help people feel safe, feel secure, peace of mind. That opens up a whole new way of marketing. Would you like to feel safer? Would you like to have peace of mind? That's a whole different question then. Would you like to learn how to shoot? Would you like to buy a big gun? Okay. And this is like the caterer example. It's like, what do you do? Well, I cook food and I bring it to people's house. No. What do you really do? And within a conversation, that's like, well, what she does is she helps people to have peace and a big party. Okay. You don't have to worry about the details. I've got it covered. So in business, it always comes down to something really heartfelt. And if you can get the business person to understand what they really do for others, it opens up all kinds of marketing possibilities. And again, we're in the gift of a question. Would you like to feel more secure? Would you like to have your next party be fun for you too? Would you like to not worry about it? So people don't ask the right questions. And I just help them ask the right questions in business and in marketing and in their personal lives. And then there's some things that I know just work, like in your business, focus on what do you love about your business? And that will usually, get back to, I love when they smile and say, thank you very much. You really helped me. Or what do you love most about your partner? What do you love most about your kids? Is a nice way to flow energy, and at the same time it opens up possibilities for marketing. And marketing happens in the family too. You have to sell little Bobby on why he needs to clean up his room. You need to sell your spouse on things. You need to sell, but marketing can be an act of love, and it can be offering a person a true benefit.
That's sounds like a most necessary way of being in the world, to kind of flip our traditional way of being in this and that, and become attuned to the fact that every time we ask a question like this, we are creating a possibility for somebody to see things in another way. And you're not telling them, you're allowing them to come to the conclusions that they come to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I call it listening someone. You can listen someone into a new state a lot easier than pummeling them into it with your ideas. Even though you have great ideas, maybe you have a great idea for somebody, but instead of telling them that, ask them a question. So maybe my idea for a couple who are fighting all the time would be, maybe they should, love each other or think positive things about each other. But maybe I would just want to ask a question. Well, what is it you like about her? And then the mind just has to answer it. Well, what else do you like about her? Oh, yeah? Tell me more. Well, it works.
Well, let me ask you a question then, John.
Oh, no.
What is it that you like about your work?
Well, I like that it produces miracles. And I have a lot of them to report. And it works really fast. And people, like say somebody's in pain, they'll come to me and they'll have an issue. And I'll give you one kind of surface level example, but it was noteworthy. This guy at one of my workshops stood up and said, my car's broken down. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's broken down right now, and I'm mad as hell. And I was like, well, why does that make you unhappy doing that? Because he had signed up for that program and it's like, because it means that, I don't have any support. It's just everything is always going wrong with me. Well, why does that make you unhappy? Well, you just can't trust this world. Things are always breaking down. And you just keep dropping down in, right? And as they get deeper and deeper, it gets more and more absurd. Well, why does that make you unhappy? Because I'm a total failure. Well, are you really? And then they kind of like, well, no, It's like, well, what's the opposite of that? Well, I'm not a failure. I'm successful at many things. And then you go back and you ask them the opposite, right? This is a little process that I did. And we finished and he was happy. He was just like, what is no big deal, blah, blah, blah. And about, 20 minutes later or on the break, right after the break, he gets up and says, oh, by the way, my neighbor went over and got my car and fixed it for me. The group was liking this, and it's like, so, and we're just presuming that the neighbor's a mechanic who does that all the time. So does that happen often? He said, no, that's never, ever happened before. And I just love things like that. I had a woman who came to me because she hated her husband. This is not unusual. Couples do that. They put so much energy in the field. And he was a narcissist, and he was this, and he was that. And I did the same process, asking the question, why does that make you unhappy? Because it's always about, they make me unhappy because it means that I'm worthless. It's always about that. And there's a chuckle at the end. And she laughs, and what the heck, feels better. And she's not going to run that trip anymore. She's just going to think about what she loves about this guy and whatever. So the next time I talked to her, she said it was the funniest thing. He came home and he fell down right in front of me. He tripped and he just fell down. And it's like, oh my God, is he okay? I was like, yeah, it wasn't no big deal, but it was just so strange. He just fell down. It's like, well, that's because there was this big field and it had all this energy in it, and you removed your half of it, which means 50% of that energy was gone, which he made him literally fall forward. And then they're in love, and next thing I know, she sold her business to be in partnership with him. They're starting a new business, and they're making money, and they're happy, and I love that stuff. And it happens all the time. And this quirky, sort of metaphysical, yet very logical program produces dramatic shift when a person just gets off it. They just stop doing that thing and they drop that story. Man, bang, things happen. And I love it. I love it more than I can say.
That sounds like the miracle.
Yeah, it seems like a miracle, but it's so logical that, we've got all this energy holding things in a certain place. And when we remove that energy, things kind of move.
Sounds like he fell for her all over
He
again.
fell for her, literally. I love that.
That's great. So you talk about miracles? Do you like to talk about miracles?
I've certainly had a bunch of miracles in my life. I have a great love for miracles, and I'm not teaching miracles. I like the Course in Miracles and all that. And I've had plenty of them that happen to me, but it always happens when I surrender and trust and love God and trust God and surrender my position. I may not be saying that to my clients if they're not miracle-minded, but I do get them to surrender their position, and so that the right miracle might happen for them. But I love miracles.
It sounds like you're creating the space.
Yeah.
Or allowing them to create the space for something greater.
Mm-hmm.
We do get mirrored into our old way of thinking, our belief systems, our thought systems, and how we're used to pummeling people, as you just said. I certainly have used that approach in my life and continue to hopefully shift it, but do fall back into finding out what's wrong instead of looking at what's right. You do have a number of programs that you've, decades worth of seminars, classes, workshops. Do we have some to look forward to in the future?
I'm enjoying teaching the bliss technique these days, and I've got this notion that I should charter the Church of Bliss, start the Church of Bliss. The bliss technique is just a way of being happy and loving up and smiling, and it just happens to create gamma brainwaves and awaken all the chakras above the solar plexus. And that's on my YouTube channel if you want to just learn how to bliss out, but most of the world doesn't take it seriously.
I'll join you in that.
Yeah, I had a hankering one day to have my brain measured while doing this. So it's on the Easy Living channel on YouTube, but hooked up to an EEG. When you do the bliss technique, your brainwaves turn into pure gamma brainwaves, and it was noteworthy.
I would imagine that would help make people healthier too, then.
Yeah, because it awakens the centers above the diaphragm. Those centers are directly related to the endocrine system, so they'll be producing all of the good stuff, the primary being human growth hormone, which does like everything you want. Melatonin, serotonin, estrogen, and testosterone. All the good stuff is produced by the endocrine system, and waking it up above the solar plexus is useful to help you to have more vitality.
And you say above the solar plexus, what about the rest of it?
Well, the rest of it's already awakened. So it doesn't need to be awakened. The rest of it's running just fine.
All right.
Okay. And it doesn't need to be ignored, but it's already running. But a lot of people are polarized here at the solar plexus, which is, fear, fight or flight, gut feelings, whatnot.
Emotions.
And the centers above it are not as developed, and this develops them. Helps them to wake up and open up to receive higher streams of energy, which all come back down all the way to the base chakra. So those lower ones are pretty wide awake, though, in our society right now.
Yeah, interesting. I always think in terms of including all of them all the time in a kind of a toroidal flow around the body and then up or down. But yeah, and I suppose one could just say that which needs to be awakened or that which needs energy receives it now.
Well, I'm a big believer in what you just said too. I have the bliss technique as a particular little way of just feeling love and loving up. It's very easy. You just love up and touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth and put a big smile on your face and kind of look up. It's pretty simple. But I also like to teach the Kriya breathing technique, which pulls the energy all the way down the spine to the base, and then flash on bliss, and then let the energy come all the way up, which enlivens the whole body with prana. So I'm a big believer in that. And that's also on my channel, how to do that, how to mix the two of them together.
Sounds like you just give all this away.
Yeah, I guess so.
And all those beautiful albums you have.
Yeah.
Can be, where can we find those?
They're all on Purple Music, purplemusic.com. They're all concept albums. They all have a theme, some of which themes might be peculiar. No Ordinary Days is a very unique stream of consciousness. Accessing the Akashic records, it's worthy for people who are into that sort of thing. But they're all out there for free download. I know, what's wrong with me? Goodness gracious.
It's nice that you're a multi-billionaire and you don't need any income from that.
That is a glorious thing.
So can we listen to your music while we do the bliss technique?
No.
No?
Nope.
Has to be silent?
Well, no, those are just two different orders of reality.
Ah.
So a lot of people, and this is interesting, but there's a lot of guided meditations and there are a lot of, movie meditations and musical meditations. But that's not really meditating. That's just a peaceful, nice thing to do that can get you into a meditative state. But meditation is devoid of sensory input in most cases.
I totally agree. I just wanted to see what you said.
Oh, yeah. So you could be listening to the album and attain a state of bliss and do the bliss technique, because you can do the bliss technique anywhere. But I just wanted to make that distinction between, stimulus of the senses and meditation. So the bliss technique, what's nice about it is you can do it anywhere. You can do it while you're shopping. Hi there. Hi. I'll just write the check. But meditation is just meditation.
Well, thank you for being with us today. Thank you, John.
We're still online. We're still filming.
We are. Is there one more thing you'd like to say or a few more things you'd like to finish with?
'Twas brillig and the slithy toves, to gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy with the bar groves and the marmoras outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that cat, spurn the zub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. Thank you.
Good reminder. Keep smiling. Or
Flabberchibrix Rubbernecker? One of my alternate personalities.
That's too hard to say. Flabber? For sure?